WTF, what the flip? I'm gonna be telling you some crazy stories that I have come across in my years of flipping houses. I've been flipping houses with my husband since 2015. He's done it way longer, but since I've been a part of it, there have been some crazy stories, and I feel like it's almost like my party trick, so I might as well, why not put it online? Hello, of course. There's one story, and there's so many things that happened at this house. We purchased this home in Lake Elsinore. It was a Toll Brothers property that was just built in 2007. This was back in 2019 when we bought it. So my husband Jim was like, can't be that bad, right? It was just built in 2007. It's Toll Brothers. We go there and it was a lot more than just paint and carpet. So what happened was there was a guy who was living there. He ended up being like, he was like the #2 guy at some tire company, like Pep Boys or Big O Tires or something like that. And then he got injured on the job. He was on pain pills, and then he moved over to meth. And evidently he lost his family. Evidently, because you saw it on the writing on the wall, but he lost his family, and then he had all these people move into his home, and the place was trashed. After a long time, we ended up evicting him. And when we arrived with the cops, there were people with their pants falling down, manually moving cars out to the street, just so it wasn't on the property, so it wasn't our possession. We go in there with the cops do their thing. They say, hey, you are no longer allowed to be on this premise of the property without our consent. So we were on our way out to Stagecoach. We stopped, we did our thing, and then we went out to Stagecoach. Well, we met all the neighbors because this was like an infamous house. So one of the neighbors calls while we're at Stagecoach, and he's like, hey, they broke back into the property. You need to call the cops. And we're like, well, we're in Indio, so since it's in your jurisdiction, you call, that's much faster. So he called, the cops came, and the guy was rolling motorcycles out the front door when the cops arrived. And then he freaked out. He had a box truck, because he moved some of his stuff out, but he had a box truck, like a moving truck. And when he saw the cops, he ran into the box truck and had the tailgate still open and started driving off and like skirted out. So the cops chased him, obviously, and the front door was wide open with the motorcycle just right there. And things started flying out the back of the box truck at the cops as he was driving. It ended up being a high-speed chase, and the cops ended up throwing a spike strip out to stop the guy. Found out this story. I can't remember how we found this out, but we realized that he was arrested. And we were like, wow, okay, that's good. Evidently, we looked at the police report, because you can look at it online, and we saw that he like keystred drugs into jail. That was kind of funny. And then he had some girl bail him out, and she kept calling us saying, hey, you need to pay his bail, and you're the reason why he's in here. And we're like, no, he's not allowed to be on the premises without our consent. We didn't give him consent. So then she kept calling and harassing, and then he was calling us from jail saying, you owe me money. My cars had to be impounded because of you. This is all your fault. I need you to bail me out right now. We did not pay because that was ridiculous. And then the woman did pay. She started harassing us too about us paying her. She's like, I got a kid, I got this. And we're like, that's not our problem. You decided to bail him out. It had nothing to do with us. We had to double up on our security, because then when he did get out, he's like, I know where you live. And he started saying our address over the phone. And that was terrifying. So we like got all kinds of security all around the house. I think we even bought a gun. I don't even remember. It was pretty scary at that time. Finally, we kept letting him go back to the property to get his stuff, because there was still a lot of stuff there. And we had like this little skinny handyman who was like there all day and would watch him, and they weren't really moving their stuff out. We were like, okay, dude, you gotta get your stuff out. And then the last day when we're like, this is your day. We've given you 7 days. This is your day. You gotta get out. And he's like, I guess he came back to the premises and he pulled a knife out on our skinny handyman. That's why our handyman's like, I'm not going back there. There's no way, I'm not going back. I don't care how much you pay me, I'm not going back there. We're like, we totally get it, okay? So then we call up our friend who like knows Tito Ortiz and was like in that group. He's a bad mofo. So we're like, dude, do you have anybody who will go there and sit there and like make sure that these people are out today? And he's like, I got just the guy. He's like, I got a cousin. So we're like, get your cousin over there. He's like, my cousin is gnarly. He's like, he's lost his mind. He will totally do this. And I'm like, great. So then the cousin came, and then they're like talking all this smack, but they were out in 2 hours, and that was good. because that guy was scary. So we finally got them out, and then when we got them out, one of the neighbors, we were over there just trying to figure out what we have to do, and one of the neighbors comes over, and he is this older man. I guess he was a doctor back in the day in Africa, and he goes, "Did you guys happen to see a car?" And we're like, "Yeah, there's tons of cars in the back." I'm telling you, there's cars in the backyard. I was like, "Is this your car that's on the jacks?" He goes, "Yeah, that's my car." We were like, "Well, do you want it back?" And he's like, "Yes." But he told us the story of how that car even ended up in the backyard was the previous owner. He went over to the neighbor's house and said, "Hey, my cars aren't working. I need to borrow your car." And reluctantly, he gave him the keys. And then after a week, he still didn't get the car back. And he went over there and he's like, "Hey, can I have my car back?" And he's like, "No, I'll tell you when I'm finished with this car." And that was 2 years prior to when we finally got the car back. But it was so sweet. The guy's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for giving me my car back." And I felt really bad. But luckily for those neighbors, the hell was over, and they got regular people who moved in the home after we cleared it out and renovated it.